Hello everybody, today I'm going to be analyzing the Ratchet and Clank 1 New Game Plus TAS demo by doesthisusername. Now, I believe this was recorded on RCPS3, but it is some PS3 emulator, and what a TAS means is, user took Rack 1 and put it into this emulator and essentially broke the game down frame by frame and input everything as perfectly as possible to create stuff that is beyond the likes of what a human is capable of. Now, that's a TAS. Now, what a TAS demo is an incomplete TAS. So this means that this is roughly the first 1/3 of the game. This is not the full run, but I did want to take a second to analyze, because we don't really have a lot of full game TASs in the Ratchet and Clank community. They're very hard to do, and we don't have many people who are strictly dedicated to creating TASs in the PlayStation community, let alone in the Ratchet and Clank community proper. So doesthisusername made this of his own accord, and I wanted to take a second to highlight it and try to do my best to analyze it. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on in this TAS that I don't even understand fully, and I've been running these games for, what, 6 years? So I'm going to try to do my best to help you guys understand what's going on, but I may not do the best job always. So here, we're going to dive right into it. So starting off here, the planet's going to load. And what he's going to do is, so if you don't know what's happening here, username does 2 single jumps to set up the correct angle, and then he wallopers forward. Now, this walloper momentum, you're going to see it a lot. If you pause the game at a very specific spot, like right as the punch rockets forward, you can pause the game and, using an in-level cutscene, store this momentum, which you see user doing right here. He's storing the walloper velocity into side flips that he can use to travel across terrain. So keep in mind that as he's doing this, that's exactly what's happening. So he's using the walloper, side flip, double jump, and then translate that momentum into more side flips over here. Sets up another walloper angle. It doesn't even have to care, because obviously it's a TAS. If this were a human doing this, you would have to carefully set this up, especially because what's happening right here is the walloper is locking onto these crates. So if you're not prepared for it, if you're a human trying to replicate this, what's going to happen is you may get an angle you're not expecting, because the walloper does lock onto the crates. There is a lot of lock-on for like weapons, including the wrench, especially in the OG trilogy. And so that's exactly what's happening here. The walloper's locking on here, but obviously that's no issue at all, because user can use any angle and make it work, because that's how TASs work. So you see he does it again. And what he's actually doing here, what's really interesting, is that he's doing what are called neutral canceled side flips. So what neutral canceled side flips are, it takes, you input a long jump instead of a side flip, and then you cancel the long jump into a side flip. Now, obviously you don't have Clank, so you can't just long jump. However, you can still input a long jump and then rotate it into a side flip on the analog stick, and have a little bit of long jump momentum that pushes you a little bit further than you would if you just did a normal side flip. So you can take a look again. You can see Ratchet like kind of bumps forward and then side flips. Check it out, check it out. Yeah, you kind of see Ratchet like like that is the inputting long jump. I know that's like a weird sound effect, but yeah. So he just double jumps across that final gap, side flip, and look at that. He's into the cutscene and ends Velden in, I believe, a little under 18 seconds, which is pretty absurd. I think that's like almost a full second faster than the community gold. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I know it's very, very fast. So immediately right off the bat, he was doing the same thing with the walloper. He's storing that momentum and just taking the exact perfect angle, because, you know, he could just retry this as many times as he wants. Here we are. Now this is so cool. What he's doing here, he's pulling out the rhino and he's firing the rhino, and the rhino shot is going to hit. There's going to be 3 enemies that drop down. You have to kill all 3 of them for the next sequence to load. He's using the rhino to hit one of them, and look where he's landing. He's landing like, let me see here. He's going to land right here, which doesn't look like a solid surface, and normally it wouldn't be. However, there is enough of a flat surface there for you to land for a little under half a second. So if you time it properly, which if you're using a TAS, you obviously will, he just side flips onto this thing and side flips again before it would push him into the water. And then he single jumps into the cutscene trigger. Now what he's doing here, he pulls out the Visibomb. And the Visibomb is going to... And this is the part that actually really confuses me. I'm not 100% sure everything that's happening in this sequence. But what I think is happening, he uses the Visibomb to store his momentum through the cutscene, and I believe he's like single jumping in a circle to keep his momentum. I'm not 100% here because obviously I can't see Ratchet, and I don't know, I don't have the same level of know-how for this that Username does. Even though I've been running these games for a very, very long time, it's still hard for me to know everything that's happening, like I said before. But I believe that's what's happening. He's like, you can see, like, you can't see it, but on the map, Ratchet is like hopping in a circle to keep that momentum. He's pulling out the Rhino as well, and he's about to fire the Rhino again. And there you go. He now takes his single jump momentum, turns it into a side flip to get across the river. And now he's going to open up the PDA here. So he opens up the PDA during the cutscene, and I believe this allows him to swap weapons during the cutscene. So I think what he's doing here, I think this is what's happening. He's putting on the Walloper. And he Wallopers forward and then uses the end of cutscene animation to keep his momentum through the Walloper. I think that's everything that's happening. I'm not 100% sure. I hope that somebody in the comments can elucidate this, because this is so cool. And I've been trying to analyze everything that's been going on here for like 5-10 minutes now, and it's really tough to kind of know everything that's happening here at once. But he's done with Novalis. He's moving on to Kerwan now. Now, if I recall correctly, on Kerwan here at the very beginning, you're going to see mostly what tends to happen in actual Ratchet NG Plus runs. But once he gets Clank, it's going to go off the wall. So, he does another Walloper, saves his momentum, double jumps over here, Wallopers again. Side flips, hyper strikes. Wallopers again to keep his momentum. Double jumps. Oh no, he side flips. So another neutral canceled side flip right there. He's going to wrench swing using the PDA. Double jump, and then do it again. Pulls out the Walloper. So basically, all of this is actually quite standard. There's nothing... Obviously, it's a little bit faster than how a human could have done it, but a human can replicate all of that without too much difficulty. Now, here is the part where humans are going to have a little bit of trouble. So if you've never seen this before, you're probably wondering what the hell is going on and how is he doing that. So, there is a technique in Ratchet and Clank speedrunning, in Ratchet 1 specifically, called infinite long jumps. Now, what that infinite long jumps on very specific surfaces, I'm going to even pull out my controller to demonstrate so you guys can kind of see. It doesn't matter which controller I pull out, so I'm just going to pull out this random controller. So, you side flip with R1, X, and hitting left or right, and obviously you long jump at pressing R1 or X, right? But you can also use R2 to long jump. So realistically, there's some surfaces where you can cancel side flips into long jumps, into side flips, into long jumps. I'm going to try to, like, side flips into long jumps, into side flips, into long jumps. However, you don't even need to hit X on those surfaces. All you need to do is flutter R1 and R2, and then, like, you can do it with the D-pad, you can do it with the analog stick, you can hit left and right over and over. And normally you can only do that on specific surfaces, but in a TAS, there's a technique called ground infinite long jumps. Now, these are normally like 1 or 2 frame tricks. It's infinite long jumps, but on standard non-sloped surfaces. So, obviously, a human could not do this. A human cannot do this. It is impossible, at the very least, to do it consistently and over a long period of time. But you can see here, Ratchet Machine Go Burr. It doesn't matter. So he's going to use the PDA to climb up here. And now he's going to infinite long jump again. He's going to build momentum, build momentum, build momentum, build momentum, build momentum. Ground infinite long jump. Ground infinite long jump. And just keep going. And now it's kind of funny. Normally in a New Game Plus run, you would see... instead of going to the left, you would go to the right, use the PDA to side flip up to like this little ledge over here, and then jump onto the train. You'll have to excuse me. I just ate some Chipotle, so I'm very gassy. And normally that would be faster than going around to the left, but because we can infinite long jump, it's a non-factor. This is obviously the fastest way of moving around. So look at that. He's just going to ground infinite long jump over and over and over and over and over. He's going to get enough height to be able to PDA and then PDA glide into the cutscene trigger. And obviously, I couldn't see it, but I believe I can't even tell how he cancels. Because normally you're not supposed to be able to move during this cutscene. But he's using something here. It's tough to tell because all the weapons change so quickly. But I believe he's pulling out the Tesla Claw. And then maybe the Visibomb? It obviously, again, it's tough to tell. But I know that you can cancel this stuff with the Visibomb. You can allow yourself to move using the Visibomb. But you can't... I can't hear it. I can't see it. But he can still move during this cutscene, and move he's going to. He's going to just ground ILJ, ground infinite long jump, over to the end of the train sequence. It's really, really wild. I mean, and now what he's doing there, he's using the PDA to, I believe, store his momentum again. It's really tough to tell. It might just be like an animation cancel. Might be to give Ratchet control while this is happening. I don't know 100%. Yeah, okay, so yeah, the PDA was to allow him to be able to move Ratchet during this cutscene. And so he just puts Ratchet exactly where he needs to be to collect the info bot. So this is so funny, this is a task, but all he's gonna do here is just wait. And now he's gonna build momentum while he hits the info bot, because he's going to, of course, keep that momentum through the cutscene. Perfectly side flip in between the train partitions and then land right at his ship. I mean, that's if you're wondering why TASs take forever and why there hasn't been a full game TAS of a Ratchet speedrun, I hope this is at least helping you guys understand why. Because can you imagine going through this time after time after time after time after time, trying to get the exact perfect lines, the exact perfect speed, sorry, the exact perfect distance for everything. It's crazy. It takes so much work. So much work. Oh my goodness. So now we're moving on to Eudora. Eudora, I don't think is super crazy in any particular way, but it's going to be more of the same. You're going to see more momentum storage, more ground infinite long jumps. Oh, this is actually really, really cool. So this is so difficult. You see this in Ratchet 2 and Ratchet 3, where you use the turrets to insta-clip through walls. The problem with doing that with the decoys is that you have to have such a specific angle and such specific speed that 99% of the time, it's not even worth it to go for insta-clips. They're so hard to pull off in Ratchet 1. But obviously, if you're not a human and you're just doing it, you know, frame by frame, this is the easiest thing ever. So, ground infinite long jump, toss a decoy, land directly on the decoy, insta-clip through, and then ground infinite long jump back to your ship. Oh my goodness, I'm curious, how long is that from the beginning of like where he lands to the end of the planet? Let me just see this. So he lands like just before 251. Long jumps directly into the cutscene, of course, keeping his momentum. And then, yeah, he was on the planet for 10 seconds. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is so crazy. So here on Blarg, I'm actually not 100% sure. I think the taunter gets the boxes out of the way. This is so, like, you would never. Yeah, that's exactly what the taunter is doing. Oh my god. Anytime you can put a taunter in anything, it gets infinite more swag points. But it's actually practical here. So there's normally two or three crates, I believe, stacked right where Ratchet's position is. He uses the taunter to break it while still being able to ground infinite long jump. So what he's doing now, effectively, if you were to do this as a human being, you would be hitting these two buttons 60 times a second while also hitting left or right 30 times a second. And also pressing circle or holding down circle at the same time. So you just be, if I were to do like I would need mechanical implants on my hands to be able to do all of that at once. That's so cool. That's so cool. I wonder if we can keep his momentum through here. I don't actually know for sure. I don't know if he can keep his momentum or not. No. Okay, but it doesn't matter. Look, he's just gonna insta-clip here. Have absolutely zero setup time and just, yeah, okay. So if you're wondering what's happening here on this particular trick, this is a bit of a, this is actually a very common trick that you see in a lot of speedruns, and one of the first big tricks that a lot of runners will learn, because it's very, very easy. So what you're doing here, oh, I'm trying to remember if it's L1 or R1, and of course, people are going to land-base me for this, but I believe it's holding L1. So what you do is, you hold L1 as you enter this, like, little escape pod right here. You hold L1, and you hit start instead of triangle, I think. It's been a while. You're going to have to excuse me. Oh my goodness, I'm embarrassing myself by not remembering the ins and outs of this trick. But essentially, you open an in-level movie and you press triangle during the in-level movie, and it allows you to skip the animation of the escape pod coming back to Blarg, or the main station. So, and there you go. You're just right back at your ship. Just like that. Perfect movement, of course. Once again, yeah, all the insta-clips. This is really, really cool. Remember how I said that infinite long jumps have a lot of uses? You're going to see one of them right here. This is a variation of infinite long jumps called cinna-flipping, where you're mostly, instead of chaining side flip into long jump, you're going to be chaining side flip into side flip into side flip into side flip into side flip, gaining you as much height as possible. Now, eventually, obviously, once you're a TAS, or if you're a TAS, you know once you've reached all the height that you need. So you immediately translate those side flips into side flip long jump instead of side flip side flip. So you're translating, you're building height, you're building it up, and then side flip to long jump then allows you to build momentum. So you're going to see it here. And here comes the cinna flips into infinite long jumps. Using ground infinite long jumps to build as much momentum as possible. And then he's using the PDA to store that momentum, glide onto the barge, and then as soon as his feet touches the ground, he starts doing infinite long jumps again to preserve that speed. Now, if you're wondering why he still has the taunter out, this is the definition of taunter swag. This is the definition of it coming up right here. This is going to be so funny. The taunter does absolutely nothing here aside from just look cool. So right here what he's doing, he's launching Ratchet into the mud. And he's going to, basically right around the time you see Clank's antenna hit the mud, like right around here, you see like his antenna is just above the mud. He's pausing, he's going to activate an in-level movie, and then once the in-level movie is done, he's going to side flip out of the mud. And this activates Ghost Ratchet. Now the cool thing about Ghost Ratchet, Ghost Ratchet is activated when Ratchet would normally be put into a death state, and you pull Ratchet out of the death state. You can activate this in many different ways in Ratchet 1. It's actually quite easy to activate in Ratchet 1. And we use it many times throughout the speedruns. But when he's going to, the primary use of Ghost Ratchet here, and the reason why he's not just infinite long jumping to the end, is that Ghost Ratchet removes the speed cap. Normally for all games in the OG trilogy, your maximum speed is 0.43 meters per second. Now, once you activate Ghost Ratchet, that speed cap just goes away. So you're just going to see him building speed infinitely here. Lands perfectly on the infobot, single jump hyper strike to his death, and goes immediately back to the ship. So, if you guys don't know, if you've never seen that before, the infobot is there. So normally you have to fight the Blargian Snaggle Beast. So the infobot that you get after you beat the Blargian Snaggle Beast, believe it or not, is actually always there beyond the door the entire time. All you have to do is just go get it. So I'm going to let you watch this again. So watch this whole sequence here. Activates Ghost Ratchet, pulls him out of the mud, side flips up, infinite long jumps all the way over. Now, if you're wondering why he's taking this specific line, there are actual ILJ dead zones. There are specific spots on the mud where if you're ILJing, it will cancel your ILJ and you will not be able to recover it. So you will just die. So you can... Oh my goodness, sorry. You can see he takes a line to the left around this rock. And around these trees. He's dodging the dead zones here and just building up an absolute metric fuck ton of speed. And so now he's done with that. So now he's going to move on to Battalia, which is the last planet of this TAS demo. Battalia is quite possibly the hardest planet, at the very least in the early game. But you're going to see how quickly it gets utterly decimated. Utterly decimated in this TAS. So, ground infinite long jump. Oh my goodness. Okay. So he's creating a slope onto that little moss right there using the PDA. He's doing a long jump. Long jump. He's going to pause the PDA right as he hits the moss to allow himself to get another long jump and extend his speed even further. Glides over. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He's just doing it on surface after surface after surface. Uses that surface to be able to long jump onto that surface and pauses again. Hyper strikes into the cutscene trigger because the cutscene trigger is very, very big. It's like, I think it's a giant rectangle or a giant cube. If you're actually looking at it from like a 3D model, but I like to envision it as just like a big circle of like you can go from here. Like this is the zone of where the cutscene is activatable. And so he just activates the cutscene for the planet Orxon Infobot from way behind it. So he wallopers again to build some speed. Oh my god, look at this. I'm gonna slow this down so you guys can see this. Wait, that's quality. That's not speed. Playback speed. 0.5. So check this out. Walloper, pause, activate an in-level cutscene. He does like a couple ground infinite long jumps to just get enough speed to go over to here. Pulls out the PDA, pauses the PDA, glides in like a quick little 90-degree turn, lands on the moss. Wait. Long jumps off the moss, uses the PDA to preserve his height and his speed in this case, and glide over to here. Ground infinite long jumps, single long jump, side flip, ground infinite long jump. Pulls out the PDA, glides all the way over and hyper strikes with just enough momentum to make it. Now let's watch all that again in full speed so you can see it without me narrating over it. Slides directly into the cutscene. Ground infinite long jumps to the teleporter. Ground infinite long jumps back. Wow. Wow. So cool. So obviously you can see it's a lot of the uses of the same techniques over and over, but the application of the techniques is what's really interesting. And you have to consider as well that there's a ton of different lines you can take, a ton of different routes. And user did enough research to know that, like, this is the line that's at the very least, it may not be the best TAS line ever. I mean, obviously we won't know that for many, many years. But at the very least, that's much, much faster than you could pull off in a single segment of Battalia, regardless of who you are or how good you are at the game. So, guys, if you really enjoyed this video, I have to say, if you like this analysis, make sure that you go check out the actual video itself. If you ever want to watch it, please propagate it with views. Does This Username is an incredible runner, incredible human being. Please go support them. And if you enjoyed this analysis, I also did an analysis very previously. My latest video before this one, I analyzed the Ratchet and Clank 2 New Game Plus No Insomniac Museum Glitch segmented speedrun. So if you want to see that as well, that was such a sick run. But also, I would encourage you guys, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, go root on the people who are interested in this. Doing tassing is a very, very thankless job, and oftentimes they go very underappreciated for how much hard work they have to do. I mean, I know I can't do this stuff. I have no idea where to even begin. I tried, like, attempting a task because I told people that I would, and I was clueless. I had no idea what I was doing. And so if you have enjoyed this, please make sure you go support the people who task. Please show them a lot of love. Please let them know that you care and that you really appreciate their endeavors. So that's all the time I have for you guys for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're a new viewer. If you enjoy this, I do a lot of content that's Ratchet related. especially as Rift Apart comes out. I'll be doing more and more really interesting content. So yeah, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and stay beautiful.